scopers, or morning, or evening, or whatever it may be, wherever you live. Uh, Today I'm going to do a. This is the State of the Union Address 5 for the Scoper Nation. Um, I put this off as I was going to do it on the second, and I just really didn't have much content for it. The only thing I really do have to say is kind of bad news, so I kind of didn't really want to do this. Um, but I figured I'd go ahead and do this video because I do one of these every February and every July to just kind of tell the loyal viewers the state of this channel, what's going on, what I expect to happen, what's going to come up, um, and I guess whether things are good or bad. Uh, we'll start off talking about Project Assassin. Um, there will not be a video episode 5 of this computer. Um, the demand just isn't there for it. I did. Thank you, Windows, for the update notification. I did 4 videos on this case already, or on this computer build already. Um, it wasn't. It was supposed to be like the initial video of a new series of videos where I build a computer like once a month or so, once or twice a month, and do videos on it. And not every one of them was gonna have 5 videos. I was just kind of doing. I was just kind of stretching this one out to get everything in place, get things down how I wanted to, and see where I wanted to go with it. And after that, it was going to turn into like a 2 or 3 video thing per build. Um, Thank you, Sledgehammer was over there going like crazy. But anyway, the um, the videos that I posted of this build already have only received something like 800 views for 4 videos. Um, that's pretty bad, and that tells me that nobody really cares. So there's just really no reason to go through all the stress and trouble it would take to make the conclusion videos. Um, if you have any questions or anything, go ahead and put those in the chat if you're live. If you're not live, go ahead and leave those in the comment, and I'll reply to them. But I mean, it's a excellent computer, very powerful, fairly quiet even when it's pushed to the limits. Um, Awesome looking in my opinion. I love this case, and if you don't know, it's a you can't really see on the camera, but it's 2-sided glass, so you can see straight through the thing. 8700K for the processor, 1080 Ti for the GPU. I mean, it pretty much doesn't get any better than that. Unfortunately, the build was to this particular build specifically was created to as a way to not only do videos but to raise money for the channel. And as a computer, it's terrific. It's the by far the best computer I've ever, or I won't say best, the most powerful computer I've ever built. The processor, it's running on the XMP profile for the memory, which automatically overclocks the processor to 4.7 gigahertz, where it's just locked in dead. It doesn't vary from that or anything. It runs cool. It's liquid cooled with the 280 millimeter radiator that I put in there, the H115i from Corsair. And I've torture tested this thing. I ran it hard for about 9 hours overnight to make sure everything was fine, and it never got too warm, too hot or anything. I think the max CPU temperature was something like 73 degrees. I forget what it was on the GPU, but what you would expect from 8700K and a 1080 Ti, this is pretty much it. And I don't have some of the overheating issues I've seen with the 8700K. I know some people have bad luck where the IHS is not really making great contact um, with the actual physical core, and they overheat this processor. Even clocked at 4.7 gigahertz, it stays pretty cool. So uh, that's one thing I'm pretty proud of. It looks great. It took me a ton of hours to get these LEDs installed, and the ones that you see along the front up here. Oh, that was a day of work by itself. But I got the thing looking how I wanted it to look. So um, not everybody's enthusiastic about it as I am. Some people are, some people aren't. I posted a ton of pictures on Instagram if you actually want to go see all the finished photos and everything. I did record some video, but like I said, episode 5 at this point just isn't happening, and it's really holding me back from other things that I have to do anyway. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, um, as you can see in front of me, there is a lot of stuff. The reason that you can hear Sledgehammer so well, typically you wouldn't be able to hear it as well as you do, but it's coming in clear as day because I have the gain very high on this microphone, so that the microphone can be this far away from me and still hear me clear, loud and clear. Um, if I did it like the typical podcast that we normally record in here, the gain would be way down. I could have this thing, the microphone would be like 2-3 inches from my mouth, and you would hear me clear as day, and everything else would pretty much be drowned out. But because of how I'm doing this, it's coming in loud and clear. What I probably should have did was use my shotgun mic, which hangs overhead and isolates the outside noise a lot more. But we'll work on that as we go. Um, this right here is a controller for my headphones, and technically right now I don't really actually need to wear headphones, but this also allows me to self monitor. But the reason that I'm wearing the headphones is because of this little guy that I just got, which uses these two cords here and ties into my 10 channel Yamaha mixer over there, which also ties into another little box that I have over there, which allows people to call in to be on the show. So if you want to call in and chat with me right now, you actually can do that. Once I put the number down inside the chat, or if Nightbot ever gets around to doing it. This is interesting that I don't see the chat on here, but I see that our people are chatting. Hold on 1 second, guys. I got to bring this up on the computer so I can actually read what's going on. For some reason, the dashboard is not showing me the chat. Sorry about that. No, tech does what it wants. Let's see. Brian R asks, "What brand is that case?" This case is Fantex. It is the Shift X, the Enthu Shift X, or Enthu Evolve Shift X by Fantex. It was designed to actually look like a tower. It's a tower that looks like a tower. I mean, the design blew me away the first time I saw it, which was I can't remember what it was. I want to say it's like Computex or something that the bigger YouTubers went to late last year. Fantex was showing off the case, and I knew right then I had to have one. If I didn't have to sell this case, if I didn't have to sell this computer, I would keep it myself. I love this case. It's so beautiful, and nothing I've been able to do on film has really been able to capture the true beauty of this case when you see it in person. It's amazing. Try as I might, I've tried every angle I can think of, every lighting condition I can think of, and I just can't quite get it. And part of the problem is the case is so big. Um, it's a lot bigger than it really looks. When I show it in a wide screen, I have to back off so far because it's so tall that it looks like this itty bitty case that's in the middle of this huge screen, um, which makes it look a lot smaller than it really is. But when you get up on it, then it's so tall that I can't really capture the entire thing all in one shot. So that's unfortunate, but it it's an amazing case. A little bit difficult to build in, because if you look at the photos that I have, you can't see any of the wires at all except for the wires that come out of the back of the GPU. Everything else is hidden. And to get it to that point where you're not seeing wires running everywhere inside that case is not very easy to do. Let's see. Stan says high volume is a bit low. Hmm. Okay, that would be on the mixer then. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna crank it back. I'm gonna crank it up a little bit on OBS. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Okay, that should sound better. It's still not quite going into the yellow, but um, you want to know how you know this is not a professional production. There's no way to actually tweak the volume in OBS without making scene switches and going into the settings and stuff. It's good software, but it's not quite there yet. Um, is the mic volume still low for you? Because to me, it sounds like it actually sounds like it's blasting. Yeah, I actually increased the volume of the mic. You should be able to see it if I move it closer. How does that help any? Does it sound any louder to you now or any better? Yeah, you saying the music sound, yeah. Well, the music should sound fine. It's all pre mixed and pre produced and everything. All I have to do is drop it into OBS and let it play. Okay, so while I'm waiting on you to reply to that, let me get to what I was saying about the other stuff. So as you can see, I've gotten some things set up here. I was talking about this. This little guy right here is called the Nano Patch by JBL, which allows you to. Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, that's good. Um, it allows you to put this device in line between two devices that use either XLR cables or what they call TRS, which is more or less the big version, the quarter-inch version of the stereo headphone plug. Um, so what this does is it allows me to adjust the volume of or mute a certain device, and in this particular case, I'm using it so that um, I can answer the phone if somebody calls in, and I'll be able to not only answer the phone from here, I'll be able to adjust their volume. This is something that was when I introduced this feature to my setup, it was intended for me to be sitting over there at the computer controlling everything. Uh, when a caller called in, it wasn't intended for me to be sitting over here in front of the camera, and because I don't have anybody to actually run the controls for me, it's just something I had to find a solution for. And this thing right here is pretty sweet. Doesn't use any power or anything. It's just it's a passive device. But the audio comes from the call box over there into this, and then back out and go into the mixer. So somebody calls in, I can control all that from right here. Um, this little guy right here is just a headphone amplifier, because if you ever watch the sports podcast that we do in this office, the Sports Cave, on a different channel, we can have up to 4 people. I actually have. We don't even use this particular mic. I have 4 different mics and 4 sets of headphones, and we can do up to 4 people sitting here to do the podcast. And this is so they can control the volume on their headphones without me having to do anything for them. Um, the reason I'm saying all this is because I'm going to start making a transition on this channel. I'm going to start going more towards doing live streams. I'm thinking more news segments and things like that, rather than doing straight up product reviews, because the product reviews, while it was a good thing at one point, has really been failing the channel here lately. Just to give you an idea, this channel went from making somewhere close to about $1,000 a month a couple years ago, and that was just extra income that was coming into the house, about $1,000 a month, and it was climbing as well. But then all of a sudden, all these changes were made to YouTube, to Amazon, to apps on phones, how a lot of things are being handled, and the revenue from pretty much every source there was dropped off the face of the earth, and the channel more or less is not really making any money right now. And if you actually add up expenses versus the actual income, it's actually losing money every month. So that is something that it's just not sustainable anymore. Even when I do product reviews, like a lot of the stuff that's on here, I put links to the products in the descriptions and stuff. We'll acknowledge the fact that it's nearly impossible to get a GPU right now. That's what most people are looking for, and that's also what most people are holding out for. They can't really get that kind of thing. GPUs are just hard to get, and in fact, I even signed up to become a reseller to try to help at least my viewers, if I can somehow get GPUs and let them buy them from me, because I can buy them at wholesale prices versus the double the rate market that you would buy it, at another store. So, but even the distributors are having hard times getting GPUs right now. So it's one of those things is you can't really build a computer, you can build one without a GPU, but nobody's really trying to. There's not many people that set out to build a computer with an APU. Most people that want to build a gaming PC, they want to have a gaming a GPU, a dedicated GPU in there some kind of way. So that I understand, but as far as everything else, nobody really cares. They look at the stuff and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool, but because they can't build the machine they want, they're not buying anything. So death to miners. You're actually not gonna like some of the stuff I have to say in this video. Mining has been a thorn in a lot of people's side, and I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is redirect the channel more towards the tutorial side of things that I had lined up. I have this long list of video ideas that have been planned out for well over a year, probably getting close to 2 years now, and they're not money making videos. They're not videos that apply to everybody. In fact, Most of them are not gaming related, but if you came here for tech or to learn about tech, then they'll probably apply to you. But it will bring in hopefully a brand new audience to the channel. Um, and I'm gonna start probably working on those here in the next week or so. Probably this week, since I canceled the fifth episode of that. I'll probably start working on that tomorrow or Tuesday or something. And those videos are not only they're not money making videos, but they're also easier to make. These are videos where I have to write down what I need to say in the video, and I literally get here in front of the camera or in front of the whiteboard that you can't see. It's behind this curtain. There's a whiteboard back there, and talk about or draw out or do the things that I need to do. And after the video is made, then I pretty much have to just throw everything in there, the intro and outro, and upload the video. So the frequency of videos will start to increase dramatically once I start doing that. Sten says, I think mining has its peak and it's on its way down. Actually, I can't really say that. I can't really agree with you on that. I have been watching Bitcoin very closely, very, very closely, and it looks like to me, based on what I've seen, that Bitcoin hit its low about a week ago. Today's Sunday. I think it was Monday or Tuesday of last week. Bitcoin hit a low of $5,800 US, and ever since then it started going back up. And let's see, Bitcoin. Okay, on here they just show it in a bunch of different currencies. It's been going up since then, and I mean it's still very volatile. I don't think cryptocurrency will ever completely regulate because of the nature of it. People like to buy in and sell like crazy. Right now it's selling for 83.13. So since last week when I saw it hit 5,800, it's gone up. I've seen it at 8,900 in the last week after that 5,800. So we're talking about a $3,000 swing here in less than a week, and it's more or less trending upwards. And the other reason that I say I don't think it's still on the way down is because I started doing some research, and apparently cryptocurrency has this dip, this really strange dip that coincides with the beginning of February every year. And they have about 5 or 6 years showing these records where every February it dips really low, and then it starts going up from there. Even last year, before it went completely nuts, when we were still down in the hundreds of dollars instead of thousands, it started out something like $800 at the beginning of last year and dipped down to 500 or something. I forget the exact numbers, but it had this dip before it took off and started going crazy. Let's see. Andy Santana says that I still sound low. Is it still low for you guys? Because I can also turn it up on the mixer. I will have to put it back on hold a second again if I need to do that. Yeah, I guess let me go ahead and crank the audio up again. Be right back. Okay, so how does that sound? Is that any louder, any better? looking at OBS, and it's going a little higher. But this time I cranked it at the the mixer instead of OBS itself. This is one of the problems that you run into trying to do a show by yourself. Um, Unfortunately, my studio is set up so that somebody's over there running everything. And typically, when the guys do their sports podcast, I'm the one that's over there at the controls. I monitor the sound and everything in my headphones, and I adjust the mixer and everything accordingly. But because I'm the only one here, I have no one to do that for me. And because everything is kind of set up to be a permanent setup where we can just sit down and go, I can't just bring the mixer over here and do all that stuff myself. I mean, you're talking about at least a couple hours of rewiring to do everything. So, uh, but Brian and Stan say that the audio sounds better. So, okay. But anyway, what I was saying about Bitcoin is that I think for this season, it's already hit the. I think it's already hit the low. Um, it went down pretty quickly, and it hit that 5,800, and it only stayed at 5,800 probably about 30 seconds. When I was sitting there looking at it when it happened, I was actually on one of the exchanges looking at it happen, and it hit 5,800, and then all of a sudden it jumped back like $300. Like it was like 6,100 like 30 seconds later, and I went to sleep, got up and looked at it the next morning to see what was going on, and it was in the 7,000s, and then the next day it was in the 8,000s, and it's been there ever since. Um, hey, what's up, Maddox? I'm just kind of trying to tell people what's going on with this show. um, because you are the Patreon subscriber. If you have any questions or anything, if you want to chat later, we can do a direct chat. Hit me up on Discord if you want to. We can chat on there. Let's see. Let me bring up the chat on this computer so I can read it better. Maddox says, I think it'll shoot up back up once the Chinese get through with New Year's. But that's just my thought. Yeah, it's I'm not sure what it's waiting on, to be honest with you, because it's crazy how fast cryptocurrency reacts to news. Every time something bad comes out, like within the hour, there's this huge drop, but then a day or so later, it's recovered and gained well beyond what it had dropped to. So it's kind of weird. Um, I heard that in India they had made it illegal. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I was hearing through other people that they had made it illegal to use Bitcoin. I don't know. I really don't. There is so much news to try to keep up with. I'm trying to educate myself on this because there's so much going on. It's hard to keep up with what's really going on. Really going on at any one time. What I did pick up on last week is that Washington D.C. has their eyes on it. They actually had I forget what you call these things, but it's like a hearing where they sit down and answer questions. And they talked to some financial advisors about it, and there were some things in there that's pretty concerning. For instance, the head of the SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission, the people that are over the stock market, said that out of all the what they call ICO, initial coin offerings, which is kind of like the same thing as when a company goes public and they start selling stocks. Well, the same thing for cryptocurrency. When they do their ICO, they're supposed to register with the Security and Exchange Commission before they ever do it, and apparently no one has ever registered with the SEC to do an ICO, but you hear about like a new one like every other week. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I would the guy over the SEC didn't really seem too overly concerned about it, but the person that he was answering to, she seemed pretty pissed about it. So if she starts saying that they have to do something about it, she's probably like a senator or something since he's answering to her. So I would imagine that they're going to start passing down the line that somebody's going to have to start cracking down on these guys, and eventually you might start seeing people go to jail over these ICOs that aren't registered. They're just kind of out there. The reason that the initial public offerings are required to be registered is they so that you are following all the laws and guidelines that the government sets out, and that the government knows what's going on. And I don't know, nobody's really doing it. That's kind of the point of cryptocurrency, but at the same time, the law still applies. Um, now, while I'm talking about ICO, I will say something. I started looking into this, and I'm gonna get into this a little bit later, but I'm really starting to think about heavily investing in cryptocurrency. And that's what I was saying. Y'all might not like some of the stuff I have to say, but one of the things I was looking at, I was thinking about. There's this new service that's directly competing with YouTube called DTube, and it's a completely decentralized video service where people can upload videos kind of like they do to YouTube, and instead of being stored on a centralized server that requires maintenance and money and ad revenue and all this stuff, it's on this decentralized network that nobody can ever take down, and nobody has to, you know, earn money, or well, they earn money, but they don't have to pay a person, and there are no investors. So, or in the traditional sense, there are no investors to keep happy. Um, so I was thinking about this. I was like, that's pretty cool. That's amazing. That's exactly what YouTube needs, because if you know this or not, YouTube in its entire existence has never earned a profit. It has always lost money. So at some point, you have to wonder: is Google going to pull the plug on it, or are they going to let this continue to happen? But if DTube comes along and actually becomes a good thing, then it might not matter so much if YouTube goes away or not. And I actually signed up on DTube. I have an account on there. I haven't really uploaded any. I tried to upload a video and it didn't work, but I really didn't have time to look at it yet. But what I was getting to is that because they can make these centralized services or decentralized services where you can upload videos, obviously there's a huge what do you call it? There's a huge market out there, or sector of business, that would love to get their hands on something like this, and it's the porn industry. And just being frank with you, the porn industry, when they see things like this, they like to put their hands on it and take over. So I was thinking, there's got to be some kind of use for this, and if somebody else isn't already doing it, then I need to do it myself, because I had a feeling this is going to be huge 5 years from now or so. Um, and I did a Google search, and sure enough, I found 3 different companies that have ICOs for a coin for porn. So, one of them is actually in their ICO stage right now, and another one, I think they said sometime later this month they're gonna have their ICO. Um, I figured it had to happen. It had to happen. But the crazy thing about this, let's forget the fact that you can have a decentralized porn network. The crazy thing about this is that people get paid to watch the videos, and people get paid to upload the video. this is this is like the best thing to yet happen to the porn industry. So I'm looking at these ICOs like these might be the best coin offerings that have ever come along, other than Bitcoin, because at some point, Pornhub coin would be worth a fortune. Seriously. Let me get back to the chat real quick. Let's see. Stan says a lot of companies stopped taking Bitcoin as payment because of high transaction fees and things like that. Yeah, yeah. It got ridiculous, especially when it was in the $16,000 to $20,000 range. We were talking about like $20 per transaction for a transaction fee. Um, Bitcoin is not sustainable if the price is going to be that high or higher. It becomes a point where it's just purely a commodity. There's no way to make it function like a cryptocurrency if the price of transacting goes up along with the price of the value of the coin. Um, and there are other coins that have come along to kind of take the place of that. One of them that I looked at was called IOTA, IOTA. Um, they use, instead of using blockchain, they use a technology called Tangle Web or something like that. I don't know the specifics of it, but it's supposed to be a lot faster and a lot cheaper than Bitcoin is. But the problem with IOTA is that it's not a primary coin that's on any of the big exchanges. So the only way to get IOTA is to get Bitcoin first, and then find an exchange that has it. Put your Bitcoin in there, and then buy IOTA, and then use it that way. Which means that um, it can't function as it's designed at this point until it becomes mainstream, where it's side by side with Bitcoin. There's no way that it's going to actually do what it was designed to function to do. Um, Brian R says, I heard the manufacturers are coming up with GPUs with no video outputs, but that eliminates resale of GPUs. They say they should have done that a long time ago, but it's late in the game now. Yeah, yeah. I've actually looked at that myself as well. There's it's kind of a two sided sword. It's okay. Here's the problem with this. They already have these GPUs, as far as I know. I believe Linus used some in a video that he made. Miners don't want them. The manufacturers, Nvidia. I don't know if AMD has one, but I think Nvidia has like a 1060 that doesn't have the ports. But the problem is the cards that they made. Not only do they not have ports, which means you can't resell them after you get through using them, but also the warranty is shorter on them, and they cost more. The MSRP is higher. Not like that really matters right now when all cards are selling above what they really should. But the shorter warranty is kind of killing it. Man, I need some water. If y'all can't hear that, it sound me drinking water. It sounds dramatically loud to myself. But anyway, yeah, nobody that's really mining wants those cards because of the problems of not being able to resell it, and because the warranty is shorter on them. You made this product, yeah, you made this product that miners can use, and they're easier to get because of that. And I think they're like sold in like 6 packs and 12 packs and stuff like that instead of being sold individually. But because of those problems, nobody really wants them. Let's see. Yeah, and Brian says the XXX coin. um, if you want to look into it, one of them that I saw was called Ocoin. The one that's actually the ICO is actually live right now. OKI or OKOIN. Sorry, can't even spell right now. Um, it's a it's an interesting prospect. That particular one, I'm not too crazy about. While it is a porn coin, uh, their whole premise is that the people that use theirs have to buy these VR goggles. Not expensive ones, but kind of like the thing that Google offers for the Pixel phone. Um, that, in my opinion, detracts from the value of it. Um, People like to watch porn, and they like to watch it on the computer because it's easy to get to. So you sit down in a computer, type in a web address, and pull it up. But if you have to buy special VR goggles to watch it, even if it does improve the experience, how many people are really going to want to do that? The other one, the other two, I actually didn't really look into much of how they work, but you didn't. It wasn't VR, so there was no requirement for that. Let's see. Stan says, I wouldn't buy a graphics card from a miner, a card that has been running 100% for months. No, thank you. I agree with you. Even miners don't want to buy cards from miners, but the problem is you don't really know that you're buying cards from miners, and they go out of their way to hide that kind of thing. When they do sell their cards, they're gonna list them under some generic name, or they're gonna give it to somebody who can sell it for them. They're not really going to just they're not going to be listed on eBay as mining company ABC, and you're going to see graphics cards. Uh, it's not going to happen that way. So it's going to be hard to tell if they're actually mining cards or not. And to be honest with you, right now it's hard to get cards. But if we ever get to a point where the market gets flooded with them, it's it's going to be one of those things where it's like, yeah, you got a lot of cheap cards out here now because the market's flooded with them. But do you really want to buy a used card now because you don't know if it's a mining card or not? So it's one of those catch-22s. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Um, Brian also says I've bought second-hand cards in the past, but not anymore. Exactly. Uh, Now, in this build right here, I put a used GPU in there, but the GPU that's in this thing is hardly used. I mean, not even for gaming really. The most of the use that went onto the 1080 Ti that's in this build right here was rendering video. And when I wasn't rendering video, it was more or less just sitting idle, not doing anything. Um, I just don't have the time to game that much. So any cards that I have, even the computer I have sitting over there with the old Titan X in it, the Maxwell Titan X, it doesn't have much gaming time on it. It's pretty much its entire life has been dedicated to rendering videos when I need to render them. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I only do about on average a video every week and a half or so. Not counting the fact that I do podcasts weekly now, but you even with that weekly podcast, you're talking about two 1.5 to 2 videos a week. So, um, Brian says VR for porn. No, I'll just hit the strip. Yeah, yeah. It'll kind of give you the same effect, but I'm not looking at it as something I necessarily want to use. It's one of those things I'm looking at like if I can make money off of other people watching porn and I don't really have anything to do with it other than the fact that I stick some money in there, I might get on that. If there's anything that you know about humans, is we're gonna eat, we're gonna sleep, and we're gonna watch porn. So. uh, there's a reason the industry exists and it's been as strong as it has as long as it has. I don't know, but anyway, so getting back onto the topic we left a long time ago, VR for porn equals like lazy back page girls. Yeah. Uh, Now what I really thought was gonna happen. Have you heard about this tech where they're able to take celebrity faces and put them on porn star bodies? That just seems like the perfect storm for the porn industry. But it oddly enough, I've heard the big players in the porn industry are actually backing away from that. Um, Pornhub, for instance, banned the use of that kind of stuff on their video on their website. Um, and I was watching Wayne's show the other day, and I think it was Wayne's show. Um, they made the point which I thought was pretty good was that doing so can make you liable to be sued because you're knowingly hosting a a video of somebody defaming them uh, when it's something that never really happened, and you know that it's true because of the type of video that it is. Um, so I guess you could get yourself in trouble like that. But then again, this decentralized video network thing that's coming along is probably where that stuff is going to go. This guys is going to happen. Decentralized video, now that it is a thing, it's just going to grow. DTube is just the beginning, and they haven't really. I don't. I see potential that they haven't even fully utilized on that channel on that website yet. So um, it's here to stay. It's unfortunate because I know that it's also going to be abused and there's nothing you can really do about it because once a video is on there, the video is on there. There's no taking it down unless the network as a whole comes together and says that it needs to be removed. Um, but what I was saying, this channel is moving away from doing the reviews and stuff. Going to move towards the news, podcasts, things like. And I have I've met two other guys on Facebook that are actually in the Dallas area uh, that might be willing to do a podcast with me. So we might be getting that put together here pretty soon. Not quite sure, but there's more I have to tell you before I can say anything definite about that. Um, Another reason that I'm not going to be buying any or doing as many reviews is because um, for the second year in a row, uh, the rug is kind of being pulled out from under me. So this cable. Okay, there we go. Not necessarily sure if I'm going to be in this house come June. We were in this situation last year, and we got lucky getting in this house because this house happened to have this room that I'm in that became my office that is perfect for my business. Um, it allowed me to, you can't see much of it from here, but it allowed me to set up all this stuff here, put the lights up, and it's this whole big elaborate thing. Um, and that worked out perfect. Plus, I have gigabit internet here, which, I mean, it couldn't have gotten any better for a YouTuber, really. Um, Brian, what do you mean? So that means no review period. What do you mean by that? Let me know what you mean by that. Um, but yeah, so I'm not really sure if I'm gonna be in this house come June. I'm gonna try to my best to keep everything how it is, but there's no guarantees. And this time it's not necessarily the landlord that's forcing me out, but things happen, and unfortunately, for the second time, and it's just as many years. It's not really in my control, and somebody is pulling the rug out from under my feet, and it's unfortunate that you can't go out there and try to start a business um, without worrying about how other people are going to affect your life so that you can get it going. A startup business takes time to get going, and that's just the way it is. this business was never supposed to be 100% YouTube. It was supposed to. I was starting off in YouTube, but it was supposed to evolve into other things where I was going to start doing videos for companies that need to make advertisements, wedding video and photography, um, renting out this space so that other people can come in, do their podcast or record commercials and what have you. I mean, I had this huge plan, but it requires that I have a foundation set up. And last year, once I finally got everything in place, the rug was ripped out from under me, so I almost pretty much had to start over. Got here, got everything finally how I wanted it, and here we go down the same road again. So I don't know. No, Brian, there will still be product reviews. It's just the big things are going away for now. I still get, I still get like about 5 emails a week asking if I want to review some small product on Amazon. Like this week, I got some LEDs and this little, like these little party lights or something. More or less for decoration, or one of them's for decoration, one of them is for like a party environment or something. Um, Not quite the stuff that you probably want to see, but things like that, I'll probably do it just because, what if somebody's looking for that kind of thing? Oh, and that's the other thing. There's this other channel that I'm following on Twitch called Tough Wizard 11. I believe that's the name. Tough Wizard something, and it's this guy and this girl who have this very, very complicated relationship where like she used to be his stepdaughter, kind of, sort of, but not really, and she's not anymore because he's not married to her mom or something. I mean, it's very. They explained it one night, and it's like we can understand why they're not together, but it's it's a weird deal. But anyway, they live together as kind of like roommates now. But anyway, they live in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Probably I would say probably about a 25-30 minute drive from here. And they said that they would like to work with me on projects. So you might start seeing videos with them doing reviews. It just kind of depends on what I can get a hold of and what I can get to them, and whatever. She's pretty interested in tech, and the guy himself is an actual software developer for some. I don't know what company he works for, but he's actually a software engineer, and he's interested in tech as well. He likes cameras and things. What kind of caught me off guard was that I came across their channel one night after watching Paul and Kyle over on Awesome Hardware, and they had these microphones that just look really unique, and I looked them up, and they're actually pretty decent microphones. And for this little stream that they're doing, they have the same audio recorder that I use. That's a $high audio recorder. That thing was like $450. They have like the Sony. I think he said the A7S. Which, if that's the one, that is the camera that the big YouTubers that have all that buttery smooth footage. That's the camera that they use. So, they're pretty into this stuff as well, and we haven't officially set up anything, but we have come to an agreement to work together. So, you might start seeing videos on my channel that have them in the video instead of me. So you might. If you see this tall skinny girl on the channel and it says Technoscope, that's because we did a collab project together, and I hope to really develop that relationship. I think they could be great for the channel, and I can see a lot of potential there. And the other thing was the other two guys that I met that are in Dallas. They have their tech channels as well. I'm the biggest YouTuber out of the three of us. One of them is like 3,500 subscribers, and the other one's like he's like right at around 1,000 or something like that. So they're more new to the game than I am, but I think that we might be able to get together as well and do like a weekly podcast if we can get things lined up properly. Um, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this thing right here in the mix. Because I can, like I said, I can take phone calls. And by the way, if anybody does want to do a phone call, let's see if this actually works. Hmm. Yeah. Is she cute? Um. Yeah, I mean she's decent cute. I haven't. I'm not really looking at her like that, but um, hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't know if I can pull this stuff up. Yeah, that's not her. I'll post a link whenever I can find it. And apparently Nightbot is not working. I figured it wasn't because I haven't seen any of the links show up. So this is the phone number that I'm typing in right now. So if you feel like it, if you're so inclined, call in and hopefully everything is working right and you can talk if you want have anything to say verbally. Remember that everybody can hear you, not just me. Um, there is an Instagram page. I can't remember what it is, and I'm not signed in on Instagram on this computer. I don't know. I will post that stuff somewhere eventually. Just took me too long to answer. It's not. No, she's not ugly. Let me put it that way. She's not ugly. She's just not necessarily my taste. Um, I have a particular taste, and it is what it is. Um, I would not call her ugly at all. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Bitcoin. What else were we talking about? Okay, so it talked about what's gonna happen with this. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about 2017, I guess. Um, I don't want to dwell on 2017. 2017 was pretty hard because of the fact that we had to find a house and move, and we found this house at the very last second. Uh, no, she is not Beyonce. She's on the thinner side. I like my women to have curves. That's more or less what it's about. When I say on the thinner side, I mean like she's very thin and very tall. Um, yeah, but 2017, half the year was dedicated to us moving into this house, and then it took like another 2 or 3 months to actually get this office set up how I wanted it to be. Um, and it took a toll on the channel very hard. I mean, that's part of the reason that all the revenue dropped off the face of the earth. Because so much time was taken away from the channel and put into other things. Um, it's just kind of, it is what it is. There's not really much to say about that. Man, I need like a second screen so I can keep the chat up. BBW. I actually like women of all sizes. It kind of depends. they can be thin, but they have to have curves to them. So anyway, um, yeah, let's move on from 2017. I've dwelled enough on that on this channel about it. I'm just gonna say this: that 2017 has been one of the worst years of my adulthood, and I'm still kind of feeling the effects of it. It was horrible. Um, so the next topic I had listed was moving forward. We already covered some of that. The reviews are gonna be what they're gonna be. Um, we're gonna start covering a lot more of the technology side of things, knowledge side of things. If you want to learn, electrical theory and all that kind of stuff, kind of stick around for that. um, but it's not just going to be that. I'm going to research and put together things that people would want to, that people in the gaming community would want to know more in depth things about. Um, so, like, if you see something about GPUs coming up all the time, and you want to really know how does that really affect me, I'll put together videos that explain things like that. So, without getting too specific, just kind of things that you want to look forward to. The reviews with them, the podcast with the other two guys. If I can get all that stuff together, that'll make up for some great content as well. And then hopefully other things that come along like reviewing newer hardware, not necessarily putting together computers, but reviewing the hardware that goes into newer builds. Um, as far as the company goes, hashtag champs, which is the sports channel. Um, I know most of you have no interest in what's going on with the sports channel, but um, away from sports itself, there are some cool things going on. This coming up Saturday, we're actually going to be out in Arlington, Texas, going to this event. We were actually invited by the people putting the event together to come out and do a podcast, and uh, it's called Brew and Arts. It's I want to say it's a beer company. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I think it's a beer company that's out there, and they're bringing together local artists, doing like a car show and doing all this stuff. They're bringing all it's just a thing to have fun with. It's gonna be this coming up Saturday. And they found us online. They invited us, told us to come out there. They want us to do podcast and stuff. We're going to do this whole thing where we're going to talk about sports for some of the time, but we're also going to be out there interviewing people, let people get on camera, tell us what they think about whatever it may be. It may not. I doubt that the whole thing is going to be about sports. But there's going to be artists out there. There's going to be car shows. I talked to this other guy I know that runs this car audio store called Soundscape up in Carrollton, Texas, which is north of Dallas. They should be out there, hopefully. I mean, it's just a good thing. How is the IT scene in Texas? There are tons of technology companies here. But as far as finding people to work with, it's pretty hard. Back in the early 2000s, two cities north of here is Richardson, Texas. They had what they call the telecom corridor. Just like in California, you have Silicon Valley, where they develop all the integrated circuits and stuff like that, where AMD and Intel and all those companies are. Actually, AMD used to be here, but there was Texas Instruments, and just up the street was the telecom corridor, where they had this huge company called Nortel that eventually went out of business because the CEO did some stupid stuff. But this was at one time where all the companies came to make cell phones, put together cell phone technology, and where a lot of the cell phone tower technology is born. They still do a lot of that stuff up there. The cell phones themselves have pretty much left, but the technology that goes into your cell phone towers, whether it be power, the computers that run it, the antennas, all that stuff, most of that stuff is still done up there. But Nortel itself is gone. Sony Ericsson was up there back when Ericsson was a thing and they were making cell phones. Uh, Alcatel was up there. Who else? There were a lot of companies up in that area. It's not very far from here, but the freeway that Texas Instruments is on has been on since it was founded. Um, Kind of grew into this thing where all the telecom companies moved to. Um, oh, and before AT&T was bought by SBC, which used to be Southwestern Bell, their headquarters was over there as well. They were right there next to Nortel. Um, so yeah, I mean, even today, there's still a pretty good, sizable IT scene, but it's not necessarily software and it's not necessarily chip development. Even though Texas Instruments, I know, has a chip fab up there. They spent billions on it, and it was this huge news deal ordeal when they built the factory. Um, they still make chips because I still see their job listings online every now and then. Um, but it's not what it used to be. It's nowhere near what it used to be. Um, these days, there are the scene for like mobile software development that is kind of growing. Um, Back in the day, we used to have companies like Interplay here. Well, there's another big game developer that was here, and I think they're still here. I can't remember the name though. But yeah, it's kind of a good place, but not the best place to be if you're in technology. Brian, or one of my data centers here is in Carrollton. I believe that. Not surprised. Um, there's actually a huge data center out in Fort Worth that they built not too long ago. Um, and it was kind of funny. It's one of those things where if you build it, they'll come. And they built this huge data center out there, and I think Facebook ended up leasing out most of it. So there's a lot of that stuff around here, and because AT&T is still headquartered in the Dallas Fort Worth area, if you have anything that has to do with internet or cell phones, this is a good place to be because you can work directly with them. And they also have the best cell phone service here. A lot of people like Verizon because they're considered the best cell phone carrier. But if you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area, basically because AT&T is based here, we get all the new technologies before a lot of the other big cities do. Not always, because sometimes it might be based, it might be a project out of California or in Washington or something. They might get it first, but a lot of the big technologies like LTE, when it was first released, Dallas was one of the first areas to have it. And I remember running a speed test on my cell phone when LTE first came out here, and I was getting 50 megabits per second on my cell phone over cellular coverage. And at the time, I only had like 25 megabit in the house. The cell phone was outperforming what I had at home. So there are benefits to it. Um, Stan says I used to work at Ericsson, not on the phone side though. I worked on the big antenna side. Yeah. Um, I went to school for that kind of stuff, but I don't do heights. I actually have a friend that went and got his master's degree, and he works for I don't even remember what company he works for, but he works for some company that has him climbing those telephone poles. And I've seen a couple of his pictures from up there. There's no way I do not do heights. I did work for this company called Eltec Valier. You might have heard of them. They make the power supplies for cell phone towers. They call them rectifiers. Is more or less that thing right there just made specifically for cell phone towers. Um, and they were supposed to be like one of the most efficient at the time when I was working for them. Um, Rectifier is the same thing as a power supply. They just wanted to be fancy with the name. Uh, but yeah, let's see, where were we? Oh yeah, yeah, okay. So that's what's going on with hashtag champs. If you know anything about the Dallas area, or if you've been to Dallas or lived in Dallas, we have um, a comedian. He's from New York, but he's on a radio station here called K104. Mike Sean or Michael Sean. Uh, he was actually in this room, set right here where I'm sitting, and he did one of the podcasts with us on that sports channel. He's a very funny guy. It's very explicitive, so that show was a little different from the other ones, but he was here. He also hosts what they call the Laugh Out Loud comedy show in Addison, Texas, which is another city just north of Dallas. Um, and one of his comedians that was on the show came in here and did a show with us as well. So we're actually kind of getting some recognition. That channel is not making me any money, but the channel is getting all kinds of recognition, more than I thought it would at this time. And we've been contacted by several people who just want to get involved with it and want to do things with us. So even though it's not making money, I think the money is going to come with that channel eventually. I mean, the way that it is growing. Oh, and the guys of Dude Perfect, if you know who they are, they're the guys that do like the trick shots and stuff. They'll be like up on like the third level of a football stadium and shoot a basketball until a goal is on the field. Those guys are based in North Texas as well. They're up in Frisco, Texas. Haven't talked to them specifically yet, but we're going to try to get something done with them as well. So, yeah, that's what's going on with that. I do all Cisco now. Oh, and Cisco was another one of those companies that is up there. I don't know how big their operations are here now, but at one time they had built like several buildings up around what is US 75 and the 190 Turnpike. They had several buildings up there at one point where they were doing things. Used to do VMware, Windows, Linux. Yeah. At one time it was a good thing to know in Dallas. Some of that stuff kind of left, but I think Cisco still has some buildings up there, just not as many as they used to have. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the channel Nerd Unpacked. Excuse me. If you don't know what this is, we started another channel. It was supposed to officially kick off back in October, but because of all the craziness that's happened, I kind of put it on the back burner. But it's gonna come back starting this month. Nerd Unpacked was for the things that people think like cosplay or comics or the people that are interested in gaming, not just gaming, but like gaming characters and things like that. If you're into that kind of stuff, that's the channel that's most of that kind of content is going to go on. Anything that's nerd related, geek related, anything. I'm not really going to be super involved with that channel, but I will be on the podcast that we're going to do from time to time. We still haven't determined if we're going to do a regular podcast yet, but there is one that's already up on that channel. We actually streamed it live on Technoscope back in, I think it was October or November, somewhere around there, and then uploaded it on that channel. But that channel will continue forward starting this month. We have the movie Black Panther coming up. Because we go see all the Marvel movies together. That's kind of our thing. So that after we do Black Panther, we're gonna come back here. We're gonna do a live stream on Nerd Unpacked. So if you have an interest in that, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. Uh, let's see here. It's okay. Sorry about that. Thought we had a phone call, but not really sure. So the other thing about it is that the thing that lets me know that there's a phone call is over there by that computer, and I really can't see it over here. So, uh, yeah. So, Black Panther's coming up next month. After Black Panther, we're gonna come here after we watch the movie and do a live stream. We're going to watch the movie about a week after it releases. So if you see it within the first week, you should be safe to watch the podcast with us. Um, there will be a warning at the very beginning that there will be spoilers because we're going to directly talk about things that happen in the movie. Um, Also, on that night, we're going to Toss is going to be recording a separate video about comic books that you might want to read if you're interested. If you're really into if you're really big into comic books, he's going to do a thing about comic books you should read leading up to Infinity War, in case you want to get caught up on some of the backstory of all that stuff. And Tran is going to be doing a video over these collectibles that she collects. So you'll get to we'll be doing like at least three videos that night. So things are coming along on that channel. As far as Technoscope goes, it's gonna have to roll with the punches. I can't really give you a definite answer on what's happening. All I know is that the big reviews will stop for now. Little reviews will probably continue, but we're going to turn the channel more towards doing the technology stuff. And that's pretty much it with that. This computer was placed up for sale last night. Unfortunately, because how high component prices are now, I didn't hit my mark at all of $2,000. The computer itself came in way above that. It was supposed to be a fundraiser for this channel, but now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna probably sell it for the cost of the components. So it is listed. If you need the links to any of that stuff, I'll post those. Also, check out the Discord if you need any links. There's not really anybody. In fact, there's no chatting going on Discord, but that's a good place to go if you need to ever get a link for anything that's Technoscope related. The videos are all posted there, or when a new video goes out, they're posted there. Any links that are related to things like buying this computer is going to be posted there as well. I actually got into it with a page that I was on today. They kind of rectified the thing, but they did not like the fact. Sorry about that. They did not like the fact that Technoscope is an official company, and I was trying to sell something on their page, even though the page is a page for selling products. The fact that Technoscope is part of a legit company, they had problems with. But I kind of explained to them that it was supposed to be like a fundraiser for this channel, and it's not like I'm building computers every day and selling those. So we came to an understanding, but it came off of there because of that. But the moderator that pulled it down, he thought that the price that I was asking was ridiculous, and he was like, I wouldn't even pay $2,500 for that. I was like, $2,500 wouldn't even buy these components. You can't even build this computer for $2,500. I don't know. It is what it is, unfortunately, and I really feel him on this. GPU prices, RAM prices, that stuff is way too expensive right now. And I've said this online before. I've never said it on video, but the RAM that I put in Sledgehammer is worth twice as much as it was when I built the thing. If you don't know about Sledgehammer, it's this over-the-top workstation build that I did a couple years ago. It has 256 gigabytes of ECC RAM in there, which I bought at the time for about $200 a stick, 32 gigabytes per stick. Um, $200 is what I spent on the RAM. Actually, it was more than $200. It's what I spent on the RAM for this computer alone, and it's only got 16 gigabytes in there. So yeah, now I feel you when you say $2,500 is a lot of money, but it is what it is. I can't build the computer for less than what the components are. And trust me, I'm not a business doing this all the time. It's not like I have a supplier and I just buy them for whatever the supplier sells them for. I went out and looked for the best deals I could find on every part that I put into this computer, and it still came out to the price that it came out to. So I don't know. But I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap that up. And if you guys have anything else to say, go ahead and say that. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap this up because I really don't have anything else to say about it. But I will start doing those other videos very soon. I will start doing live streams, shorter than this one, but more frequent. Um, Ideally, 3 streams a week, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour. It just depends on how popular they are and how you know what the content demands. Um, yes, yeah. I will show you the whiteboard back there, but it's too far over. But anyway, nobody's saying anything, so I guess that's about it. Um, I hope you guys have a great Sunday evening. I hope you stick around because regardless of what happens in the near future, I still have long term plans for this channel. And even if this channel doesn't grow, uh, oh, dang it. There's something I never covered the cryptocurrency thing that I meant to talk about. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna make that a separate video. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll do a separate stream on that. So anyway, guys, hope you have a good night. Stick around, and hopefully we'll make some great things happen. I'll see you later. Peace.